Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I've got some amazing food from a local mom and pop place, and it is actually so delicious. We've had this before. I'm going to show you. This one here is actually called a Smack Yo Mama with grilled mac and cheese on top. It's also got bacon, cheddar, a nice pickle. I actually stole part of my daughter's sandwich too, which was a grilled peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Yes, amazing. As usual, some of my LaCroix, I got it in tangerine, and I have a full stack of pancakes that I'm probably only going to eat a couple bites of. But I've been waiting for this food all day long. So let's pick this burger up. Oh my gosh. That's about as big as my face. There's no way I am not making a mess today. So it's got the grilled mac and cheese on top. Bacon, real cheddar. This place is amazing. It's called Mason Dixon Cafe. And like I said, this is a Smack Yo Mama burger. Alright, let's get into this. That's so good. I've gotten these a couple times, and I've tried a few other things too. And everything that I've had from this place has been really, really good. And it's always amazing. Some of my grilled mac and cheese. Oh yeah. I'm gonna be pigging out on this. And I always get their pancakes too, and I'll eat those later. This is so good. I'm gonna be licking my fingers a lot, so sorry if you don't like finger licking. Too bad. Ugh. I have to have my hamburger meat well done. Just a personal preference, but my husband, he will get that stuff done medium. And it's all mental for me, because I'll get my steaks done medium. But hamburger meat, I need it well done. This thing is seriously like half the size of my face. It's so good. I'm not sure about my story time. I think I'm going to talk about, since I'm in a good mood today, how my son was born, or how he came into this world. I should have put a little bit of mayo on it, but it's still really good. So me and my husband have been married for over 10 years. And we have 3 kids. My oldest one is 6. My oldest daughter is 5. They're born 11 months apart. And then my baby will be turning 2 in August. My son was born on August 23rd, 2011. My daughter was born July 23rd, 2012. And my baby was born August 19th, 2016. So they are all very, very close with their birthdays. Anyways, me and my husband had been married for a couple of years, and we decided that we were not going to prevent having a baby. We weren't trying, but we weren't preventing it either. And I was told that it was going to be very hard for me to have kids. So we wanted to kind of get started early just in case we were going to have trouble. And we went on for a year without getting pregnant. And then it was December 31st, so New Year's Eve. And I woke up early in the morning with my stomach hurting me really bad. That's like grilled cheese. So my stomach was hurting really bad, and I have had kidney issues since I was 14, so I knew it was my kidneys. And it got to the point to where I started throwing up. It was like, all right, I'm not going to be able to pass this kidney stone, which I knew it was kidney stones. So I go to the emergency room. I also got a huge, these are one of the, it's not like the regular pickles that you get with the olives and stuff like that. These are actually refrigerated. I forget what they are. Clausen, maybe? I think. They're not Vlasic or anything like that. They're so good. Lots of finger licking, I'm sorry. I actually think I'm going to take a bite of my daughter's PB&J. I think this is just grape jelly, peanut butter on like French toast style, and then they put butter on it and toss it on the grill. So good. So I wake my husband up, and I'm like, I gotta go to the hospital. It's my kidneys again. And he's like, all right. He's done this before. So we get up. He takes me to the ER. He's waiting with me. It takes a little while for them to get me back. And then they start doing all their tests and stuff. So they do like a CT or something like that. I don't know. And then an ultrasound and all that kind of stuff. They do blood work, and I had to give a urine sample and all of that. And I had blood in my urine, so I'm like, okay, I know it's my kidneys. And after I get all this work done, the doctor comes back into the room, and he's like, yeah, you've got a kidney stone that's the size of a quarter, and you need to go into surgery now. And I'm like, okay. After he finished that sentence, the next thing that came out of his mouth is, by the way, did you know that you're pregnant? I had no idea that I was pregnant. So he said, first we're going to go ahead and do an ultrasound to find out how far along you are. Because it's dangerous to do surgery when you're pregnant. I had no choice. At this point, I was going septic. Like, my blood was toxic because of how the kidney stone was actually sitting in my kidney. It made my kidney fill up with pus, and it couldn't get out, and it couldn't go anywhere, so it started seeping into my blood. So I was really, really sick. And they did an ultrasound, and they were like, well, it's no wonder that you didn't know you're pregnant. I was like, I'm not even due for my cycle for another couple days. And they said I was close to 4 weeks. I start getting scared, and I immediately go into save the baby. And they said, we're going to do what we can, but there's no guarantee because you're so early on. I said, we'll do what we can to make sure that the baby's okay, but there is a chance you're going to lose the baby. Anyways, they go in, they put a stent in, they open up my ureters, which is actually the part where the urine can come out of your kidney and drip into your bladder. They liquefied the stone, and they actually had to cut portions of it out because my kidney was trying to reabsorb it again. That's how long it had been in there. I've passed 32 stones since I was 14. That was one that I couldn't pass. So I'm doing good on this. This one's good. A peanut butter and jelly sandwich is like amazing. So they go in and they do the surgery and everything is fine. I come out. I'm in ICU for a couple days. They put a PICC line in my arm, which is basically an IV in your arm that I got to go home with to put my own antibiotics in, because I didn't need to stay in the hospital after that full week, but I needed antibiotics for a couple weeks. So they sent me home with that, and a home nurse would come out and check me every couple days. After 3 days, it started to hurt, the PICC line, and it got really hot, and it felt really bruised. So I called the nurse and had her come out and look at it. I knew it was a blood clot. I'm young though, like I was 27. Why would I have a blood clot? She comes out and confirms, yeah, it's a blood clot. You got to go back to the hospital. So they go and take the PICC line out, and then they're like, we're going to run a whole shit ton of labs on you, because there's no reason why you should be throwing clots from something like a PICC line. I'm like, okay. Come to find out, I have this weird blood clotting disorder that I would not have known about if it wasn't for my kidney issue and me having to get the PICC line put in. If I wouldn't have known about this, I would have miscarried my son. I would have miscarried my daughter. And I probably would have miscarried my baby until I would have been able to get help to figure out why I kept having miscarriages. But they said I had this blood mutation called MTHFR. It's like the longest couple words in the world. Basically what it breaks down to is my body, whenever I get pregnant, my body thinks that it's a foreign object, and my blood cells start to attack it until I miscarry. So my body does not want me to be pregnant. Well, since I was so early on in the pregnancy, my blood really didn't have anything to fight yet. Because, I mean, he was nothing. He was just basically a little cell. So it started going after the PICC line, and I started throwing clots. So for every single pregnancy that I've had, I had to take shots of blood thinners twice a day, just for me to hold on to the babies and not die in the process. So, since he was exposed to a whole bunch of radiation, when I had the kidney issue, since I had the blood clotting disorder and all that, I had to go have a whole bunch of extra tests, and I was considered high risk. So I got to see him for, like every other week I got to see him on ultrasound. Had a whole bunch of genetic testing and stuff done too, just to make sure that everything was okay with him. And the rest of the pregnancy went okay. Like, I just had to be seen a lot for the issues that I had. If I burp, I'm sorry. That's kind of what I'm getting known for. So anyways, I get put in the hospital early because they don't want me to go into labor on my own, because I could bleed out like really fast. So they set up a date. He's going to be born. We'll start to induce you on August 23rd, 2011. Okay. I'm ready. By this time, I'm like heavily pregnant. I am done. It's the dead of summer. I am so miserable. So the day comes, get to the hospital, get hooked up and everything like that. Everything's going smooth. I'm fine. My family's there, my husband, and they start the Pitocin. And they're like, all right, this is going to take hours, so just sit back and relax. I'm like, okay. So things slowly start going. And then the doctor comes in and keeps checking me every couple of, hours. And then she comes in and she checks me. And she's like, okay, you're at 4 centimeters. You have to get to 10 before you can start pushing. Okay. She said, sit back and relax. You got another 6-7 hours minimum. Okay, got it. She starts talking with the nurses and my family, and we're all laughing and stuff. And then she's in the room for about 15 minutes, and I'm getting that feeling, I gotta push. And I tell her, I said, I gotta push. She's like, I just checked you. You're only 4 centimeters. There's no way you gotta push. I mean, maybe you need to poop or something. I was like, no, I gotta push. I know this is my first baby, but I'm telling you, I have to push. She said, okay, I'll check you again just to make you feel comfortable. Okay. She checks me again. 15 minutes has gone by. 15. She said this was going to be 6-7 hours minimum, since this was my first baby. She said, oh my God, she's at 10 centimeters. He's coming, and he's coming now. Hurry up, let's get going. And the nurses, everybody just starts scattering. She starts putting on the big gown and, getting me into position and stuff. And I'm like, okay, well, at least I was right about knowing, I don't know how it went so fast. So she says, all right, now, I want you to start pushing. You're going to push really hard and do all this stuff to get a baby out. Okay, all right, I got it. I know what I'm doing. Side note, I live in Northern Virginia, okay? Not California. Northern Virginia. She says, okay, Kristen, start pushing. I start pushing. I exhale after she gets to 10. She says, take a deep breath and push. And I bear down, and I have my eyes closed, and I feel the bed start to shake. I open my eyes, and there's ceiling tiles. You know, like the fiberglass tiles on the ceiling. And they're moving. This all happens in about 10 seconds. I roll my head over towards the door, and the door's shaking off the hinges. And I freak out. I can't say anything. But all I'm thinking is, why is the building moving? And before I can even open my mouth to process what's going on, because I'm so in the zone of I'm getting ready to have a baby, she says, it's just an earthquake, Kristen. Keep pushing. What? Earthquake? We're in Northern Virginia. We don't have earthquakes. We haven't had an earthquake in over 100 years. We don't have earthquakes. The first thing that comes out of my mouth, and the only thing that came out of my mouth was, you guys aren't leaving me, are you? They all say, no, we're not leaving you. We're staying here no matter what happens. Keep pushing. I bear down one more time. The whole time, the building is shaking. This was a 6.9 magnitude earthquake. Big earthquake. Not like just a little rumble. Like, this should have caused a lot of damage. So, I'm bearing down. This is 10 seconds. You push for 10 seconds, then you take a deep breath, and then you push again for another 10 seconds. So this is the second contraction. She says, push. I bear down, I push. The ground is still shaking. My bed's shaking. I mean, tools are falling off of her table and stuff, that everything's moving that much. And I'm down to the last couple seconds, and then everything just stops. Nothing moves. Everything is quiet. Because everybody is like, holy shit, what just happened? I start to open my eyes to see what's going on, because everything had stopped. And the first sound was my son crying. The whole hospital, the whole state, the whole coast, pretty much. You could feel it from parts of New York all the way down to parts of northern Florida, is how far this earthquake hit. Everything was quiet. And then the very first sound was my son crying. So they go to clean him up and everything like that. My dad pops his head in the door because he didn't want to be in the room while I was pushing, even though I said, you can be if you just stay up near my head. He was like, no, I just want you to do your own thing. I'll be okay out here. He opens the door, and he's like, did y'all just feel that? That was an earthquake. And everybody starts, scattering around to make sure that there's no structural damage to the buildings and stuff like that. People are starting to turn on the TVs. They're calling each other, like lines are jammed up. Nobody can get anywhere because everybody's like, what just happened? We don't have earthquakes here. I had my son in the amount of time, it was like a minute and a half, 2 minutes of that earthquake happening. And you can look up this earthquake if you want to. It happened in Mineral, Virginia, August 23rd, 2011. You can look it up. My son was born at 1:55 p.m. Okay? In the amount of time I went from 4 centimeters to 10 centimeters in 15 minutes. It was the fastest, most easy labor and delivery I had. I had no epidural. I felt hardly any pain at all. The recovery was so easy, and he came fast. He was a little on the smaller side. He was 6 pounds, 15 ounces, but they wanted to have him come a little bit early because they didn't want me to go into labor on my own. Another story time. I'll tell you about how Munch was born. But anyways, I tell everybody, I'm like, I want to call the news because I guarantee you there is no baby that was being born right in the middle of this earthquake. Like, I started pushing, the ground started shaking. As soon as the ground stopped shaking, he was out. People don't push babies out in like 2 minutes, especially whenever it's their first one. And I did it. My mom was like, no, let's keep this private. So I never ended up calling the news, and to this day, I regret that. Should have at least called a newspaper so I could have something for my son. So anyways, we decided we had picked his name out early on in the pregnancy, and we were going to name him Logan. My dad can't get over this earthquake that's happened. My dad's a genius, but he's almost that borderline crazy genius. He's so smart that he doesn't have people that he can really talk to. So we get home. 2 days after we're home, my son's 2 days old, a hurricane comes through, floods everything. My son's name is Logan King. My dad comes downstairs and he's like, at this point, Logan's about a month and a half, 2 months old. My dad comes downstairs, she's like, Kristen, you will not believe what I just found out. I was like, what? He's like, you're gonna shit yourself. I'm like, okay. He said, I was looking into the earthquake stuff. This is the last bite of this mac and cheese. I'm gonna get into some of these pancakes. So there's a bite of the mac and cheese and the burger, a little bit of pickle. So he said I was looking into this earthquake because we haven't had an earthquake in over 100 years, and it's probably going to be another 100 before we have another one, especially of that magnitude, to where you could feel it up and down almost the whole coast. He said everything had to have lined up perfectly for him to be born right at that time. I wasn't supposed to have him until like early evening at the earliest, because he was my first baby. So, oh my God, let me just take a moment to show you these pancakes. All right, first off, they give you 4 ounces. I think this is a 4-ounce cup. I think this is a 4-ounce cup, because I think this one's like a 1 or 2-ounce cup. But anyways, this here is cinnamon apple butter, real maple syrup, so it's really liquidy, but it's so good with these pancakes. Let me just show you guys these pancakes. I'm going to lift them up like this. This is a full stack. Oh my God. That's bigger than my face. And this is a full stack, and they give you 1, 2, 3, 4 of them. These are massive. So good. Watch, that's going to be my thumbnail, is that right there. I'm going to be like, damn it, I can't change the thumbnail on my phone. I haven't figured out how to do it. So if you know how to change the thumbnail of YouTube videos on Android, please let me know in the comments, because I can't figure out how to do it. I don't have a laptop to be able to upload my videos on laptop, so I do it straight on my phone. Alright, so I'm going to open up the syrup here and get into these pancakes. And they dust just a little bit of powdered sugar on them. Oh my God, they're so good. Alright, so anyways, we're home. Now these aren't like McDonald's pancakes where I can actually roll them up and shove them down my throat. My first video, I was so scared. Not anymore. But anyways, so there's this basically flood, 100-year flood after a 100-year earthquake. Uh-oh. And we're just kind of hunkered down. We kind of knew that the hurricane was coming because we could see that on radar. We didn't even know that the earthquake was going to happen. Like, that just, the ground shook. After everything happened and the damages and stuff were looked at, nobody died. Nobody got injured. And the only damage that happened, I live in Northern Virginia. I live right outside of DC. So they were all talking about what happened in DC. There were a few little structural things that broke off of the Capitol building. That was it. They were saying, oh, there's going to be multi-millions worth of damage. Nope. Nobody died. Nobody got seriously injured. And then we're sitting here through this hurricane. We get hurricanes like, we'll get like the tropical storm parts from that come up from Florida. We're so far up north that we usually just get a bit of rain and that's it. Like heavy rain. Now this was like flooding stuff. My dad comes downstairs and he's like, I can't seem to get this earthquake stuff out of my head. So I've started doing some research on it. He said the earthquake started in Mineral, Virginia. Now I told you my dad is genius, almost borderline crazy. Keep that in mind whenever I'm telling you all this. I know this is a long video, but sorry. If you're still here, I really appreciate it. But he said it started in Mineral, Virginia. That's the epicenter of this earthquake. He said at the speed that it was traveling, it passed over our house at this time and it hit the hospital at this time. So it took like 4 minutes from whenever it started to boom to when it hit where we were at the hospital that I was giving birth to him. He said that's right about the whole amount of time that it took for you to start pushing to actually having him out was like 4 minutes and 12 seconds. Even the doctor was like, I haven't had a first time mom push a baby out that fast ever. Like, she had to catch him. She almost dropped him. And we actually kind of got lucky that he